smelling right, luscious lips, dancing as you walk away.
Hey, what's going on? It's the Big D from the Big D Show. We're going to jump into this Divorce News Daily segment and dissect some things today. I hope your energy is good. I hope you're positive today. I hope that you're moving in the right direction. It's January 2025, right after the new year. So I hope that, you got your goals aligned, write some things down. Let's see what you're going to accomplish this year. If you're getting divorced or you just got divorced or you're thinking like it might happen, it might be good for you to start writing some things down, figure out where you're going to go next, and start planning your life because after this, things going to change, right? So be prepared. But let's jump in here. We got a story here that's kind of a little piggyback off of where we started yesterday. A question that was asked yesterday, like, what's your thought on remarrying? And one of the responses was pretty good. I didn't really want to put it in yesterday's show because it was a little long, but let's go ahead and jump into this response right here. So this is from a woman who got married, and she's going to talk about what her experience was. And I think, fellas, we could learn something from this. So she says, I divorced 36 years ago, and I knew I would never marry again. Dang. Sounds like a long time ago, but then when I think about the fact that I'm 53, ain't that long ago. But she divorced 36 years ago. I have been in several long-term relationships since then, but I'm not willing to live with anyone, okay? As a woman, I found I was expected to do all of the housework even when I worked full-time. I felt like a maid. I was disrespected the moment we got married. He started making demands. I had known this man and been best friends with him for years, and the way he treated me changed immediately, like I was there because I was stuck and he just took me for granted. I don't like the control issues in relationships. I don't like the 100% wanting to be together all the damn time. I'm an introvert, and I learned I needed to live alone. I love people and I love being around them, but when I'm ready to be by myself, I get overwhelmed from having to be around people too much. Okay, so there's a lot going on here, right? So I get what she's talking about, though. Sometimes it's good to love people from a distance, right? She's talking about she worked full time, but she was charged with doing all the housework when she got married. Don't seem like the husband was helping her out with that. She said she felt like a maid. And generally, it's probably gonna feel like that, especially if you're used to just taking care of yourself. But then all of a sudden now you have somebody there who's asking you to do stuff for them. A lot of people don't take that well. A lot of people don't adjust to that well. And if you as a man kind of bring that into a relationship and you think like, okay, now that you're my wife, you're just gonna do what I say and you're gonna move the way I tell you to move, you're gonna have a lot of problems going down that road. Because the obvious thing that's going to happen is a person's going to revolt against that, right? They're going to rebel a little bit. Like, if your boss did that to you, how would you feel? You might say, oh, okay, I kind of deal with that every day at my job, but if your boss did the same thing to you and just was like ruthlessly moving you around and pushing you in one direction or another, you're probably not going to stick around there long. So you can understand why she's like, I had to be divorced, right? She also realized, she said that she's an introvert. And let me turn this down here because it's going to be like 1,000 messages coming in from my girl here this morning. Let me get my work done. But so she's like, she was best friends with the man for a lot of years and stuff before they even got married or whatever. But then when they got married, it seemed like the dynamic changed. So I think a lot of men tend to think like, okay, I put a ring on it. I put you in the house. I'm providing for you in a certain way, so I'm going to be a little bit of a dictator when it comes to things. And I get it. Sometimes, we feel like we might not be appreciated, so we have to kind of push a little bit, right? Like, look, I need this done, this done, this done. This is how I want to live my life. But sometimes it's better just be easy. Relax a little bit and allow her to grow into who she is, as long as she's not a lazy person. Obviously, if she's got a job and she's taking care of household household things, she's probably not a lazy person. Maybe she's tired, just like you tired when you go to work. So, you can't be too demanding. I think that you do have to set a standard of living, but when you become too demanding, you kind of push people away. So, she's like, hey, I learned I needed to live alone. Some of us need to live alone. I'm an introvert. I really am an introvert. So for me to get on this camera, you just don't know. I fought this for many, many years. That's why I'm starting now. But yeah, she's an introvert like me. So at a certain level, it's like we could deal with people only so much. And after a while, it's like, okay, I need to go, like, chill off of that for a minute. I need to go back and kind of recoup and, catch my breath a little bit, and then I could be around people again. That's kind of the way that I am or whatever. So I just do better by myself. I don't know why. But if I get on a subject like my music or whatever like that, I'll holler at you or whatever, and we can talk all day as long as there's something to talk about or whatever. But when you talk too much, then I just be ready to go. So yeah, so that's how it breaks down. Don't be so demanding, and don't make her feel like a slave, because it's not your slave. She's your partner. Treat her like your partner and set the expectation, but don't be too demanding, because it's probably going to end up in the big D, right? So let's move on real quick. This comes from Street Effective 9849. I like that name, Street Effective. That's kind of cool. Sound like a hip hop name. In the divorce Reddit, but this is a chick. So she says her husband can't really provide a reason for his unhappiness with me and for leaving me and our 2 kids almost 13 weeks ago. I still don't really understand it all. Okay, so I get it. So now, sometimes we're looking for a reason. When somebody wants to leave, we're trying to figure out, why do you want to leave? And sometimes they really can't articulate that, and they can't tell us exactly what's going on with them. But let's get into what she's talking about here. Let's see if we can kind of decipher some things from what she's written here. We only get one side of the story, but we're going to try to take what we got and get some reasoning out of it. So it says, like the title says, really, husband gave me the "I'm not in love with you" conversation around 3 months ago and left the family home. He now lives in a flat not far from us, so he sees the kids every other day pretty much. We didn't have these huge arguments, weren't abusive to each other, no affairs that I know of, in parentheses, and got along well. In the last year, our sex life disappeared, and he gaslit me every time I tried to bring it up, naming different reasons that I tried to fix. Ultimately, towards the end, he would barely touch me, never text me or show any affection, and low-key seem moody and off with me all the time. I didn't really realize any of this until he moved out, and I realized how anxious and low confidence I've been this last year. So things that gets me is we were together 13 years, happily married for 6 years or so I thought. He can't seem to give me a solid enough reason as to why he has just walked out of our marriage or family, and just keeps repeating that he is unhappy and chose to put himself first for once. Okay, that's probably a good sentence right there. That's something we can probably dissect. I don't get it. I'm baffled. I feel so unable to move on because you have nothing. I feel so unable to move on because I have nothing to hold on to. Does this happen? Do people just decide one day to leave? Well, yeah. Hey, thanks for checking out the Big D Show. I am the Big D, but I also go by Knock Real Beats, as I am a man of many talents. I'm a hip hop artist, writer, producer. I do it all. So check out the link below in the description and check out some of the music. I think you're going to like it. I'm on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, Tidal, everywhere you want to be. Bandcamp. Support independent artists. People do pick up and leave for whatever reason, whatever they're feeling, whatever reasoning they're going through. It could be chemical changes, could be physical changes they might be going through, can be health things. There's a lot of reasons why a person might feel like they don't want to be in a relationship. It could be a thing of not feeling inadequate. They might not feel like they can provide for you and maybe the kids or whatever. A man might not feel like he can provide. That's a big thing. Like, especially for me, if I'm not able to provide at a certain level, it really messes with my mental. It messes with my spiritual, my emotional. It messes with everything if I'm not able to provide at a certain level, or if you ask me for something and I can't give it to you, that bothers me. So it could be a lot of things that are driving him to feel unhappy, but then how much communication is going on? Why has he not felt the ability to communicate? Or he hasn't felt free to be open with his wife and tell her what he thinks. So that tells me that maybe something else is going on there, where maybe he's tried to express himself, or maybe he tried to at one particular time, and she wasn't really open and listening to what he had to say. Or maybe he's been saying things, hey, I'd like this or I'd like that, and maybe he's not the type to get, super ignorant about it or belligerent about it or to blow up about it. And so maybe because it wasn't presented in a certain way or it wasn't confrontational, maybe she thought it's not that important. Oh, he's just angry for right now. So there are people that will think like that, and there's a lot of women that think like that, oh, he probably doesn't mean that. He's just saying that right now, whatever, because he's stressed out or whatever like that. And they just continue on doing the same thing over and over again. Men and women are guilty of that. So if you've been ignoring your partner in a certain way and not hearing what he has to say, then it's possible that maybe he's just gotten to the point where he's tired of it. He's fed up with it. He's not really one to fight. It doesn't seem like he's confrontational, because she was saying they didn't have arguments. They didn't they weren't abusive to each other, those types of things or whatever. And she thought things was going good. And then, he's just like, you know what, I'm done. So I kind of went through that same situation myself. My ex-wife, it was kind of out of the blue. I could tell maybe in the year and a half prior to our divorce or whatever, she started trying to, she started changing a little bit. And I could see it in little things or whatever, but I didn't think that it was as serious to the point where she would go to where she went to. And if you want to know about that, you can look at my first video from the channel explains my story, right? So I go into my story. I got 2 parts there. You can check it out. But yeah, so she, she wasn't really expressive about what was going on with her in a way that I felt like it would be ending. And so I think this is the same situation here, where maybe she wasn't paying attention to the subtle cues or to the subtle comments that he was making, or even his silences or his facial expressions or things. You can tell when a person's uncomfortable. So if something's going down or whatever, and you're in a situation or whatever, and you're looking at a person, you can tell by their body language, by their facial expressions or whatever, or how silent they are, that maybe they're not comfortable in the situation. And maybe she just decided not to read those cues. We don't know. It could also be that it's just him. It's something going on with him. He might not be attracted to her sexually. She said that the sex kind of disappeared last year. So normally a man is going to want sex and intimacy with the woman that he's around on a day-to-day basis. He's just going to want that. He's just going to have that desire. So if he doesn't have that desire, then something else is going on. Maybe he's found somebody else. Maybe he thinks that somebody else is more compatible with him. Maybe you've gained weight. I mean, it could be a thing where it's like your body type is not the same as when you got married, right? Because I think she said they had kids, right? Yeah, they have 2 kids, right? So maybe your body type has changed a little bit. And as we get older, our bodies change or whatever. We gain some weight. I was very guilty of that when I was married too. That was one of the things my ex-wife said to me. Is like, I asked her one night, I was like, hey, what really went wrong? What do you think or whatever? She said, you got fat. I mean, that night I started running. I went that night to the park and started running. I ended up running at least 3 times a week. I was going sometimes twice a day. I lost a lot of weight in that first 30 days or so when I found out I was getting separated. Stopped drinking soda, all of that. I'm fat again, but but I'm happy now. I understood how your body changes could make a difference in how somebody responds to you, especially in the intimacy in the bedroom area. So we don't really know what it is. It's up for him to be able to communicate that with her. Maybe some time alone is a good thing. It's kind of interesting that he went ahead and moved out, because he just, at some level, he left his children, and men don't typically want to do that. Not a responsible man who's a family man and somebody who's, dedicated to their wife and their kids. They're not typically gonna just up and leave the home. So something else is going on there where he feels so uncomfortable and so unloved that he would pick up and leave his children that way. It could be that, or it could be the other side where the man is just selfish. And I don't get that from him, but from what she's writing or whatever, we'd have to hear his side of the story. But it could be a thing where he's just selfish and he's like, you know what, maybe I haven't lived my life in a certain way. Maybe I haven't fulfilled all the desires I have in a certain way, and I need to go that. He could be gay. You don't know that. Like, and now in these days and times, it could be a thing where maybe he was living a double life and he married her, trying to mask the fact that he may not even really like women like that. Maybe he had kids because that's something that, you know, society says that you're supposed to do, get married and have kids and all this stuff. And maybe that's something that he did. And now, you know, that would cause a man to like pick up and leave the family too, because he realized he's really not his authentic self, and that would cause him to be unhappy. So, you know, there could be a myriad of things. All I'm, you know, thinking we can gain from this is that, you know, be mindful of the cues. If your partner is quiet, you know, observe. You don't really have to ask them. I don't think you have to go in and attack. And I think that's the one thing people love to kind of attack, and they want to know right now, and you got to tell me this. No, observe. What's the surrounding? What's the situations? What's the financial situation like in the house? How are they emotionally? How is the health maybe on their family side? Maybe their mom is sick or something's going on. Something's affecting them in a certain way. Be mindful of what's going on with your partner, right? And then when there's a time, whatever like that, you know, as a woman, for a man, typically you can roll up on him or whatever, rub his shoulders or whatever, rub him on the head or whatever like that. Not like a kid, but, you know, in an intimate, romantic type way or whatever like that. And, you know, give him a kiss on the cheek, tell him that you appreciate him, tell him that you love how he's providing for you and the family. You love that he's out here trying to work. Even if he's not providing everything and you having to help him or whatever, like, listen, I'm happy you're my partner. I'm happy that you are trying to provide for the family. I'm happy that you are here as someone stable. You come home every night. I'm happy about these things. I'm happy that you listen to me when I speak. And so I love you and I cherish you, and say those kind of words to your man, because that might pick him up just a little bit. I think we tend to go the opposite way sometimes and want to create confrontation and fighting, but the energy that's going to come with that is never going to be good. So you want to have positive energy when you're having these conversations, and you could probably get a lot more information out of them. Maybe not at that time, but maybe at a later time, they might come back to you and say, hey, babe, this is what's going on with me or whatever like that. This is why I'm feeling this way. It's not you, it's me. I'm going through this or whatever. I just don't want to bring you into it because I don't want to stress you, or this is what I'm really feeling like, you know. So you might get that information being more gentle and being more loving than you would being confrontational, because confrontation means that I got to shut down and I've got to be defensive and we at war. You don't want that. So let's see here. We might have another one here. Yeah, I found this story. I don't have a way to play the video for you right now, but there was a lady, she was talking about her divorce, and she was talking about the split with her husband. She had a lot of praise and, for him, and talking about how they're splitting things and how it's a cordial situation. And then he turned around and he unalived her. So that's not a cool situation. You know, as men, we got to be in control of our emotions. No matter what's going on, we control our emotions. Don't give up your freedom over a temporary anger that you feel or a temporary emotion that you feel. Don't give up your freedom and risk your life. I don't know. Let me see. I think he says, mother who praised her incredible ex-husband for how he was handling their divorce, shot and killed by her ex-husband. So Jennifer Sheffield was found deceased with a gunshot wound 2.5 weeks after the video was shared. Jennifer and Brandon Sheffield were reportedly going through a divorce at the time of the incident. After taking Jennifer's life, the husband turned the gun on himself and took his own life. Yeah, I thought that he did do this to himself as well. Their daughter was believed to be at home during the time of the incident. Here's something that she said here. This is what she said in the video. I'm about to be a newly single mom. I'm in the middle of a divorce. My husband has been incredible, though, really and truly. We're working together. Everything's great. This is what she said on December 10th. Situation out of Mississippi. So this is something that can happen. It can really go bad. These divorce situations can go bad. You may not even expect it. It might look one way and turn out to be another way. So I want to encourage everybody to be safe. You know, if you have a partner and things are volatile, you definitely want to move out of that situation. You want to get out of that situation. You don't want to stay there because it could mean your life. And now they have a daughter that's, you know, traumatized by this whole situation. She's going to deal with that trauma and take that into her relationships with men, or even women, or whatever relationship she's in. She's going to suffer for the rest of her life, and that's not cool. So just be mindful that it can really go bad. I want you guys to be safe, and, you know, don't ever take anything for granted, and even a smile. Because even if he smiles and it looks like everything's going a certain way, you never know what's going on in a person's mind and how those wheels start turning. So that's a sad note to kind of end on. I hope that you guys never ever have to go through that type of situation. And I hope that there's some definite healing and all that for the daughter. Sad that this young lady had to go through that. She was a very young woman. I think they said she was 20. I don't know where I got the age from, but she looks young. She looks like maybe 30 or under. So I'm really sad about that situation, because it really didn't have to be that way. 2 people lost their lives, families lost their loved ones, you know, and he perpetrated this crime for whatever reason we don't know. But obviously he wasn't happy, and the way that she was framing it was obviously not necessarily true on his end, even though she may not have known. So RIP to her, and my condolences to the family and to the daughter, and we're going to end it there. So thanks for checking out the Divorce News Daily Show. It's the Big D. Peace. Hey, don't forget to check out my channel, Brazil Living, here on YouTube. This channel is designed for individuals who want to maybe move to Brazil as an expat, or maybe stay long term. I want to be able to show you the lifestyle, things to avoid, things to get into, and how to have fun when you're here in Brazil. I also wrote a book. It's called The Brazil Experience, that is available on Amazon. I'll go ahead and put the link in the description below so that you have access to it. But you're gonna need great information if you come this way. And so being here 6 years, I have a lot of that information that's going to be able to help you. I also do consultations that can help you as well. So thanks again. Have a great one. Peace.
Skin popping, smelling right, luscious lips, dancing as you walk.